Hey everybody, this is Professor Walsh, and I am going over all the stuff you need to do for the solution preparation lab. So in this lab, this is actually one of my favorite labs to do live and in person, because you get an unknown and then you have to try to figure out what the unknown is, and those are kind of my favorite things to do in chemistry, or at least to, as a professor, to give students to do, to be able to assign this. So just keep in mind that for this lab, you're going to skip a whole bunch of stuff in the lab book. There's a chemical information search assignment, so that's going to be your pre-lab for this lab, and then there's another couple of things that happen between pages 79 and 86, I think. So make sure you're at the right lab. It should be the solution preparation lab that starts on page 87. Okay, I try to make that note here as best you can. As with all the labs that we're doing now, there's a video that Dr. Stewart has put together that's phenomenal for this. And then I'm breaking down each where each activity will start here. So this lab is broken into like 5 different sections, and I show you where each section begins here and the timestamp for each one. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I reminded you or told you, that the data for the lab is given at the very, very end. So at the bottom of page 88, there's a data table that you have to fill out with data. Dr. Stewart gives you that at 19 minutes and 43 seconds into the video, which is fine, but I would suggest to you that you may want to get that data before you look at any of these other sections, okay, before you start constructing your calibration curve and before you determine the concentration of an unknown solution, excuse me. The other thing that you may want to do is construct your calibration curve, and do this as Professor Stewart is explaining, and as Mr. Ward is the extra video, I guess, as he is explaining it, so that if you have questions, you can pause, stop, rewind the YouTube clip, and you can kind of work through it that way. And as always, kind of keep in mind that the data and information that Mr. Ward is using, and anything that's extraneous in what Professor Stewart gives you, is not the data that you're supposed to be using. The data that you're supposed to be using is found at the very end at 19 minutes and 43 seconds. Before you turn it in, make sure you do the post-lab questions, questions 2 through 5 on page 91. And then once it is turned in, remember, it has to come to me by email somehow. Whether you scan a lab book, or you complete it digitally, or you take pictures, whatever it is that you want to do, make sure you get it to me. But that's what we're doing with the lab, and I hope that you get this done soon. Have a great day, everybody.